Hey everybody, I just want to do a little vlog real quick, a little blog of some of the things going on with Trade Post Recordings right now. We had put on a show on November 10th, just a couple days ago, and it went pretty well. We were supposed to have a total of 5 performances at the show, but we ended up only having 3. This band called The Helper. I can't exactly remember the reason off the top of my head why they had to call out, but they weren't able to show up, and there was also going to be an acoustic set to start it off, and that didn't happen. But we had In Search of Reason play. They're a good Christian, heavy Christian band. We had Negra play, and they're a hard shit, I can't talk. Thank you, son. They're an old school styled punk band from Nashville. It's a couple really cool kids. I really enjoyed spending time with them. Good band. And Far From the Tree played. They're a DIY. All these bands are DIY, but Far From the Tree played third. And it was a really good show. We didn't actually have many people show up because it was Sunday night, but well, that doesn't make a difference. I've seen really good Sunday night and weekday shows before, but still, we didn't have many people actually show up that weren't involved with the band, but the people who did show up, they had a pretty good time, and that's what I was really hoping for. And that's what's important to me for the most part. But yeah, it was a pretty good show. Putting on another show through Trade Post Recordings on January 1st, which is a Wednesday. So we have a couple bands coming up from Georgia that are going to be playing to that show. We have Adelaide that's going to be playing, and Optimist, which is pretty cool. Far From the Tree, it looks like they're wanting to play it too. And I'm hoping, for the most part, it looks like Negra is going to play this one too, which is I'm pretty stoked about. I'm stoked about putting on another show in general, but I don't know. I'm trying to get Vin Brita on it. Kayak Weather. I'm trying to get Kayak Weather on it. So I'm trying to make it a decent little shindig. And trying to make it a nice, decent little shindig. Like I said, so we should have a guy who's helping Optimist and Adelaide tour. He said they're making they're on tour, so he's trying to make a tour flyer, and I guess we'll just use that for the flyer. And so that should be pretty up pretty soon. And hopefully I can start sharing that around pretty soon. I think that's all I have to say on shows right now. Besides that, this last one was still awesome, even though it was small. And that's all I have to say for that right now. On recordings, releases and such with TPR, we put out recently the first recording, the first piece for Trade Post Recordings Bandcamp. It's called Broetry. I think I talked about it in another video, but it's called Broetry. It's a poetry split between me and Elias Dam. I have 3 poems on there, and he has 2. It's up on the Trade Post Recordings Bandcamp for $1, so if you want to go support that, go give us $1 or whatever, and download it, because it's some good poetry. I'm not just saying that because I'm on it, but Eli has some good poetry on there, and it's real, and that's what it's all about, is being real, and I can respect that. And from your own point of view. And both Far From the Tree, Cookeville, they're from Cookeville, and Negra from Nashville are planning on working on getting some new albums recorded. I believe Negro's going to go through somebody up in Nashville, obviously, because you can't always come back and forth from Crossville to Nashville. 2 hours, you know, full tank, almost a half a tank each way. So it's like, can't really afford to come back and forth and do it in our studio. At least they can't. But they're planning on recording a new album. It's going to be about 10 tracks, and I was talking to them, and they're wanting to release it out also on TPR recordings, or Trade Post recordings, and whenever they get that done, they'll have it out on, they'll probably release it on their personal Negra page on Bandcamp, and then we'll release it on Trade Post recordings page, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked to see what new stuff they have to come out with, and where I can help support them. And Far From the Tree is wanting to record a new album, and they're actually wanting to record it here in Crossville in the Trade Post Recordings studio. And I don't know if I've mentioned that we have a recording studio for TPR and any of my other videos, but we do. We have a pretty decent one. It has some recording equipment. Eli has some recording equipment, in which we have set up in one of the projector booths in what used to be the Capri Twin Theater, but is now the B53 Church. It's up in like the little attic area. It's like this long hallway. It's like this good-sized hallway, like long ways and, you know, the other way. And we have some recording equipment set up there. Up at the Capri Twin, for those of you who have ever been to Crossville or do live in Crossville, whatever, and know where the Capri Twin Theater is, which is now B53 Church. If you've ever been to the movies there, you know that, you know, it's just two single theater rooms. Concessions, go in, pay your ticket, go inside, concession stands, theater on each side, and the attic area where we have it set up is the projector room for the theater on the right, which is pretty cool. And that theater side of the theater is pretty much just used for kind of like a workshop and extra storage from the old stuff from the theater, and as a workshop. So it's pretty cool. So you get to like look down in there and look at where they've moved the seats around and stuff if you're like taking a break or whatever. And that's pretty cool. So we've put out Bro Retreat, and we're planning on putting out 2 new albums by a couple pretty cool punk bands in the near future. So I'm really stoked about that. Even though only one of them is actually going to be recording through us. I'm coming, bud. I'm still stoked that, you know, they're up for having us represent them on a level, you know? And that's what really stokes me. I don't know what else I was going to share. I was going to share something else. I can't remember exactly what that part was, but hopefully... Come on, bud. And for those of you who don't know, this is my wonderful son, Poseidon. Yes, Poseidon. And my dog, Magnolia. Hanging out together on a nice crisp morning. Well, it's getting near noon now, but either way. But yeah, I can't remember that one thing I was going to say. I know I was thinking about it earlier, but what was last on my list to mention was I'm hoping that after we get a couple other things situated that we can start getting some merch going for Trade Post Recordings soon. Get some stickers and some shirts. Excuse me. And kind of as a half serious, half joke, item and get some of those snapback hats, you know, some of those caps with the bills that pop back and they say something underneath, and say something up here and then something underneath. Kind of like a half joke, half serious kind of thing. So we may get those, we may not, but that's not going to happen real soon. That's going to, like I was like I said a minute ago, kind of have to get a couple other things situated before we can start affording affording merch. But anyway, that's the plans for that so far, and I'll put a couple links down below to some of the bands that we're going to be helping out, like Negra and Far From the Tree. So keep it true.